Chapter 17. The Marriage Supper of the Lamb. I'm sure that many religious spirits will start manifesting when people read that it was actually the Lord that orchestrated our divorce. In fact, I can hear the eruption in the spirit as I'm writing this. I'm not giving anyone permission to go get a divorce. My circumstances were unique. The reason that God unraveled our fake marriage is that He wanted to unravel us. He wanted Harold to be saved, and forgiveness was a huge factor in all that. I would classify Harold, up until his sickness, as the classic religious stereotype in the parable of the Good Samaritan. If there was a bleeding, injured person in the street, Harold would have walked by, looking pious in his dated polyester suit and tie, holding his large Bible on his way to church. He would have let the guy bleed to death and would not even consider calling 911. Another way of putting this is Harold, if Harold had not gone through the cancer and he had died suddenly in a car accident, I do not think he would have gone to heaven. I think he would have gone directly to hell. He would have stood before Christ on Judgment Day and said, "But Lord, I kept perfect accounting records for you at church. I timed myself when I prayed to you on a stopwatch. I can quote scripture that I have memorized. I had perfect attendance in Sunday school as a child, and I never let anyone touch my Bible," which you didn't. The Lord would have responded to him, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you." The religious spirit is mean and heartless, and millions of people need to be delivered from this demon. I am grateful to the Lord that Harold had the opportunity to get things right in the last year of his life. I believe it was the mercy and grace of God that gave him the time that he needed. That alone was the miracle that I had been praying for. That was his healing. All the torture that I endured being married to him would be worth it if it kept him from going to hell. I spoke with Harold a few days before he passed away, and I knew that he had had a heart transplant in the last days. All the knowledge that he had about God was transplanted from the mind to his heart. It was no longer a head thing. It had become a heart thing. I recall after getting the message from Beth that he had passed, I sat up in our large bathroom on the floor and cried for 2 days. I took the screen out of the window and I smoked one joint after the other out the window and sobbed. I was crying about how angry I was that I had been trapped in this marriage for almost 10 years with no love. I cried because I was mad at myself for being so stupid. I cried because I was angry that I had not gotten any insurance on Harold or the house, and now I was stuck with many bills. I cried because I had been living an awful, painful lie. I also was blaming God for my actions and the schemes of the devil. Several months later, I attended a funeral at a mutual friend of Harold and I. This man died of overeating. He literally ate himself to death. This is known as a spirit of gluttony. His name was Sam, and he was a good old boy that many people in the community loved. As I was sitting in our old church, the Lord gave me a vision of Harold and Sam tipping glasses at the upcoming wedding supper of the Lamb. It was the first time that I had total peace, that Harold was with the Lord and he was truly happy. for the first time in his life.